As we sit down and wrap up from our semester in the fall, it's always important for us to first of all reflect on the amazing work that each of us have done as nurse educators and the impact that we've made in the classroom, clinical, and simulation skills labs. We also want to think about and start pretty early on thinking about the next semester. If you're watching this snapshot live, then you know that we are planning for spring semester. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's just think about what work we have done to give back to our nursing education community. Welcome back, everybody, to Dr. Sellars Educate. We're happy that you're back as we continue to explore the 4 key responsibilities that we all have in our role as a nurse educator. We want you to go ahead and subscribe to this channel so every single time there's a new snapshot released, which happens every week, you'll be notified right away. So you also want to click the bell as well as subscribe. We enjoy hearing your feedback and we encourage you to like this episode and also leave a comment. Let us know if this information is helping you as you continue on your journey to achieving success as a competent and confident nurse educator. So that means that this channel is for all of us nurse educator colleagues, whether you're on the journey to achieve CNE or if you're recertifying, or perhaps you just are tuning in because you want to be a better nurse educator. We are going to be using Prezi in this episode. We really like Prezi. They're doing a lot of improvements with the technology, but this focus is centered around our ability to really advance and build on our previous experiences as a nurse educator and encouraging our students to do the same to bridge that theory practice gap. Patricia Benner's work talks a lot about this from a clinical academic setting, with the nursing student really being the center of the focus for her work. However, what we have done is we have aligned it with our role as a novice nurse educator when we first get started, and scaling up to and scaffolding our learning over time until we reach the mastery level. And we know that part of our responsibility to engage in scholarly activities requires us to have experience, requires us to have support. We previously talked about our third responsibility as a mentor, and we also are a coach. When we think about our novice nurse educator colleagues that are in our School of Nursing or Department of Nursing right now, I want you to consider supporting their success. We were at a university this week focusing on faculty development, specifically CNE in 60 days. And I was thrilled when I heard one of our colleagues say that actually 2 of them, that one of their former students, not only are they a mentor for them, but they also chose to become a nurse educator. They went back to school, completed their master's degree, and now they are a peer for them. Just think about if each one of us partnered with our current nursing students to walk out their career trajectory and to encourage them to become a nurse educator. We all have to think about a succession plan as we map out what our career is going to look like. Well, speaking of that succession plan, let's talk about our engagement in scholarly activity and what we should shape that to look like over time. We know that the definition of engagement in scholarly activities means that we are creating, we're publishing new research or evidence-based practices. We really are taking the time to share the outcomes that we have resulted from our research or our evidence-based practices that we have implemented. And we want to share that with our colleagues so that they can not have to reinvent the wheel. There's amazing work that's going on across the country in so many education programs in nursing, and we hear about so many of them. So let's make an effort and put down a goal in 2024 that we will engage more in publishing our work, whether that's through a manuscript, a poster presentation, or perhaps it's just writing a blog article. The goal is that we get the information out to the masses so we don't have to duplicate our efforts. All right, so let's take a look at our thought-provoking question. The Nurse Educator recently presented at a conference about pedagogy and its role in higher education. As part of their scholarly work, they are developing more classroom activities that allow students to apply their previously learned knowledge in clinical situations. This is mostly aligned with A, scholarship of application, B, scholarship of teaching, or C, scholarship of integration. All right, so tell me what you think about the best option, okay? And then we're going to do just a little bit of a refresher related to Boyer Scholarship Model. First, let's be clear about how a scholar is defined. It is a member of a professional organization who's able to think logically and be a self-directed thinker. It is an important element in engaging in lifelong learning about an area of expertise. Okay, that's what scholarship is. So go ahead and put in the chat for me. If you're watching this live or if you're listening to us on the podcast, just go ahead and write it down on your study worksheet. Remember that for every episode, you want 2 resources in front of you. Number 1 is the study worksheet. You can find that right here in the description. And number 2 is Billings and Halstead Teaching in Nursing. For this specific snapshot, you want to focus on pages 8 through 10. There are 4 dimensions of Boyer Scholarship Model. They include discovery, integration, application, and teaching. You want to be clear, if you're on the journey for C and E, what the differences are. Number 1 is the definition. And number 2, you want to think about specific examples related to each of these dimensions of scholarship. Okay, so that's what you want to think about as you're moving forward on your journey. So let's take a look and see if you chose the correct answer of C or not. Okay, so I'm curious to know. Go ahead and put in the chat for us how many of you chose the correct answer, Scholarship of Integration. If it's a muddy point for you, don't feel frustrated. Okay, just go back to page 9 in Billings and Halstead. This is where you're going to see the definition of integration is that it involves designing of learning models that guide students to apply their previously learned knowledge to clinical situations, such as with the use of simulation. So it's important to know what are those specific examples that are related to each of these dimensions of the scholarship model that is published by Boyer. So how many publications are you going to make next year? How many manuscripts are you going to submit? How many poster presentations are you going to commit to? We want you to write down that goal right now, and we want you to think about, this is the important part, the resources you need to help you achieve success. None of us do the amazing scholarship and evidence-based practice work that we do or that we integrate in our classroom every single year. So we want to make sure that we develop a team that's going to support us on the journey. We hope this episode has been very helpful as you think about our 4 roles in nursing education. We want to be a mentor. We want to have scholarly knowledge. We want to be a really good facilitator of content. And we also want to think about what is our responsibility from a curriculum standpoint, designing those educational practices that are aligned with the evidence and ensuring that we have the right experts at the table to make the changes. Until next time, we are encouraging you to reach out to us, and we hope you finish the fall semester strong. Thanks, everybody.